Right, let's talk UFC Sau Paulo. It's the fight night coming up this weekend. This is what I like to call a casuals guide. This is the entire fight card from the first prelim all the way to the main event. I do a bit of information on every single fighter, every single fight, and just so that basically when you're watching it on Saturday, you might have a little bit more information to either make some well-informed picks or just to get more into the fight. So you've got someone to support, someone to root against, all that good stuff. So I make my own picks on this. I wouldn't go with them. They're usually terrible. I don't call them terrible bets for nothing. I'll be doing some terrible bets later on in the week, but I like to get this wrapped up in just about under 15 minutes because look, you've all got busy lives. You've got stuff to do. How are you going to spend 2 hours watching a podcast breaking down all the fights? You want it fast. You want it quick hits, fast, a few laughs thrown in there as well. So anyway, let's if I want to get this done in under 15 minutes, then I'm going to have to get cracking, ain't I? So we're going to start off in the lightweight division. Cal Fernandez taking on Marcus Diakiese. Now, Fernandez, I don't know that well, honestly. His highlight clips suggest that he's a pretty good striker. He's got good body kicks. He's 8-1, and he gets finishes most of the time. Diakiese's had a rough run lately. He's the kickboxer out of England. He seemed to look really good against Burt, but then he kind of went off the boil a little bit. He seemed to mix in some quite good grappling with his kickboxing. He's only 30, so he can still do something at 155. I'm going to go with the devil that I know in this one with Marcus Diakiese, but on recent form, that is a terrible bet. Eduardo Moura taking on Montserrat Ruiz, the ladies' 115-pound division. Now, Moura, despite being 1-0 on the UFC's website, she's actually 9-0. She's got 9 wins, 5 submissions, 3 knockouts. For a UFC debutante, that's really, really kind of impressive. So she's been good on the regional scene. Ruiz looks like she looks like a bruja, one of those Mexican witches. She looks scary. She looks like she'd cast a spell on you, honestly. She's also very good, but she's coming off 2 tough knockout losses, one of which to Amanda Lemos. So there's no real shame in that. Lemos is very, very good. This could be a bounce back fight for her. I think I'm going to go with Moura though. Moura, I think it's Moura. If she's Brazilian, I assume it means it's Moura. Moura. Anyway, she seems really good, and I'm just going to roll the dice on it, basically. Lucas Alexander then takes on David Onama in 145-pound division. You've got Alexander. He's looked really good on the regional scene. Mainly lots of decisions. He mainly looks to stand up by the looks of his YouTube reel. Again, not hugely familiar with him because he's not someone that I've seen that amount of. Now, David Onama is someone that I've seen quite a lot of. He is an absolute killer fighting out of Uganda. He's got 11 wins, all finishes, right? And his last knockout was a real nice one. You should go and check that out against Gabriel Santos. Really, really lovely. So anyway, he's dangerous everywhere. For me, it's Onama to get the knockout in this one. That's where my bet is going to be going. Then you've got Angela Hill taking on Denise Gomes. I always thought it was Gomez. It's not. It's Gomes. At least that's how John Anik says it. And if it's good enough for John Anik, good enough for me. This is in the ladies' straw weight. So you've got 5'3" playing 5'2" with a 1.5-inch reach for Hill. Now, Angela Hill, she's a veteran at this point, right? She's an all-rounder. She does everything pretty well. Now, I say pretty well. That's not an insult, but let's be fair. She is 15-13. That's not the best record in the world. And if she was, elite in every area, she wouldn't have that record. That is how it is. She's pretty good in every area. She's perfectly capable of winning every fight, but she often just falls just a little bit short. Gomes is ultra dangerous, and she throws a devastating overhand right. She really does. She has so much power. She's got that scary one-punch knockout power that you're either born with or you're born without, and boy was she born with it. She also looks like she might be a member of a pretty scary gang. I'm a huge fan of Gomes. Gomes for me all the way. I think that unless Hill can get a takedown and control her, I just think Gomes, if you stand with her for long enough, she's going to find that overhand right and she's going to knock you into another dimension. Then you've got Vitor Petrino from Brazil taking on Modestas Bukauskas in the 205-pound division. 6'2", playing 6'3", with a 1.5-inch reach for Petrino. Now Petrino, he's an absolute beast, absolute savage. 9-0, undefeated, out of Brazil. Like he's built like an absolute monster, and his gas tank isn't too bad. At least we haven't seen him have a pace pushed on him. I think that might be the trick, because he's built like he shouldn't be able to go like 3 hard rounds, if that makes any sense at all. But he's got excellent power. His footwork and his kickboxing are fantastic. He actually beat Prachnio in his last fight out, which is very impressive. To give him Prachnio so early in his UFC tenure is quite impressive. And he also managed to submit him as well, so it shows that he's at least aware of the grappling, although that was more because Prachnio, I think, was beaten up and exhausted. Bukauskas, he's in his second UFC stint now. He's a very, very good Lithuanian/English kickboxer. He used to fight in Cage Warriors. He's really good at keeping range, kick heavy attacks, very good kicks up the middle. He's got a lovely right straight as well. He covers a lot, he covers distance very well. For me, I think that Petrino is going to have a massive power advantage in this one. In pure kickboxing, this one's going to be a really, really interesting matchup though, because I think they are both going to want to test the standing. You're going to get fireworks, basically. This fight could be fight of the night for me. I'm going to roll the dice on the power of Petrino, and also he is undefeated, so there's always something to that. Then you've got Eliso Zaleski dos Santos from Brazil taking on Rinat Fakhretdinov from Russia. Now, you've got, this is the 170-pound welterweight division, 5'11", playing 6 foot, with a 1-inch reach for Fakhretdinov. Now, Dos Santos, he's really good. He's got excellent kickboxing, right? His inside leg kicks are phenomenal. He's very kick heavy in open play, but he's also showed that he's got great wrestling defense, because we watched him against Abubakar Nurmagomedov in his last fight, who tried to just wrestle him against the fence, and actually Dos Santos showed fantastic takedown, like just defense on the fence, using uppercuts to kind of get his opponent off him, and then forcing it back into open play where he was just lighting him up with inside leg kicks, and actually managed to get the decision over, Nurmagomedov in that one. Now, Fakhretdinov is a Russian beast. He's a combat sambo, master of sports, heavy low kicks, nasty jab, and a massive overhand right that sent Kevin Lee into another dimension. If you remember Kevin Lee's final fight in the UFC, it was this fella that they kind of fed him to this Russian powerhouse, Fakhretdinov. He's so good. He's a very, very scary guy. He's got insane wrestling as well, but his stand-up is also really good. Now, Dos Santos caused Nurmagomedov a lot of issues. Now, for me, Fakhretdinov, he is similar in a lot of ways to the fighting style of Abubakar Nurmagomedov. But I do think Fakhretdinov is more dangerous in a lot of ways. I think he's got more power. I think he's just slightly more dangerous in every area. So for me, I am going to go with Fakhretdinov. I can't possibly bet against him, but I would say, caveat, that Dos Santos still might be worth a bet as an underdog, because he's plus 340 there, and he has already shown that he can upset the Russian fighting system, because he did do it in his last fight against Abubakar Nurmagomedov, so might be worth a very small bet if you're looking for an underdog in that one. Victor Hugo taking on Daniel Marcos. 135 pound. Victor Hugo out of Brazil, Marcos out of Peru. Hugo's 24-4. I'm not really sure why the UFC haven't billed as 12-2. They've not counted half of his fights. Anyway, his nickname is Striker, so no prizes for guessing what he excels at. Yeah, you got it. It's submissions. He's got 10 of them on his record. Obviously, he's out of Brazil. He's got very, very good submissions. He's only got 7 KOs to his name, so I think he needs to change his nickname. He's been very good on the regional scene, is something that I would say. Daniel Marcos, undefeated out of Peru. He's really, really good, guys. Stands and bangs. He managed to beat Davey Grant in a kind of war, which is so impressive, honestly. And this is a very hard debut for Victor Hugo, honestly. Now, I'm not sure how Marcos is in the grappling. That's the only caveat I would say. We haven't really seen Marcos' grappling tested properly. Look, if you've got a Brazilian with 10 submissions next to his name, it could be the path to victory against Marcos, but Marcos is far too impressive for me to bet against. 15-0, I'm going with the devil that I know, which is Daniel Marcos, to get the win, by any means necessary. Elvis Brenner then takes on Esteban Ribovic for a 155-pound division. 5'10", plays 5'10", 3.5-inch reach for Brenner. Now, Brenner's out of that shooter box camp with Charles Oliveira, Diego Lima, all them guys. And you can tell. Do you know how you can tell? Because he's Brazilian and he's got bleached blonde hair. That's how you can tell. He also has savage grappling and he's also got very good kickboxing. He can take a battering as well. He fought the Georgian Kutadaladze in his debut fight, which is an insane fight for a debut in the UFC because Kutadaladze is absolutely brilliant. Those Georgians don't mess around. But despite it was a very even fight. They both had their moments, but man, like Brenner showed such heart. He had a great chin, managed to stay in there, and then just caught him with a short left hook and managed to get the knockout in the third round. Fantastic fight. Did he get a little fortunate? Well, no. Look, he managed. He was tough enough to stay in the fight, and he knocked the dude out. What more can you say? Limovic is very great. He's good in every area. He's a really high level. 12 wins, 11 finishes, 6 knockouts, and 5 submissions. That's how good he is. Now, I like Brenner in this one. After seeing him tough it out against a very hard matchup against Kutadaladze in the last one, I just cannot doubt him. I think we're going to see more of the grappling that gets Elvis Brenner to the dance in this one, so I'm going for the submission. Then you've got the main card. If you're enjoying this content, hit subscribe. There's lots of content dropping all the time. Hit the bell notification for lots of fight talk. I look at NFL fantasy as well. All the sports that I like to cover, and I like to throw a bit of humour in there. We have a lot of fun. There's terrible bets to be had. I like to put crazy accumulators on. I like to have a good discussion about them. So yeah, hit subscribe. Thank you. The kicking off the main card with Ismael Bonfim taking on Vince Pichel, 155-pound division. You've got 5'8" playing 5'10", with a half-inch reach for Pichel. Now, Bonfim is an absolute savage. He's a great striker. Got a lovely flying knee over Terence McKinney a few months ago. You probably remember that one. He's on a highlight reel or two. But then he ran into to Saint Denis, Benoit Saint Denis, who I really rate. So there's no real shame in that kind of loss. Now, Pichel, he's got a great moustache. He came up in Big John's Fight Club. Love this dude. He's a BJJ black belt. He prefers to duke it out generally, though. I like Bonfim in this one. I do think he's just probably slightly more dangerous in every area. But honestly, coin toss. Could go either way. Rodolfo Vieira then takes on Armen Petrosyan, 185 pounds. You've got 6 foot playing 6'3" with a 2-inch reach for Vieira. Now, Vieira's a BJJ legend, and I mean legend. He's had more gold medals at Worlds and different competitions in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu than most people have had hot dinners. Now, he gets awful. He says, you know, he can stand as well, but he stands awful stiff, and his timing ain't great, and he's not good at keeping his head off the centre line. So when I say he can strike as well, what I mean is he can strike to an extent, but please don't strike against somebody good. Problem is, Petrosyan, he's a really good kickboxer, absolute savage kickboxer. Says he's Russian. I thought he was Armenian, honestly. But either way, the guy's an absolute monster. 70 and 22 in kickboxing, really good stand-up. So I don't think Vieira should test the kickboxing against this guy. And I don't think Vieira will. I think the clear path to victory here is for Vieira to take the fight down. We haven't seen much of Petrosyan in terms of grappling, but if he goes to the ground, he will not be on Vieira's level. I will take Vieira for the submission in that one. Then you've got Carlo Baralho taking on Abus Magomedov, excuse me. So 185-pound division. You've got 5'10" playing 6'2" with a 3-inch reach for Magomedov. Baralho is an absolute savage. He's got great grappling, excellent stand-up. He's got this weird thing, though, where he puts on these glasses and claims to be a nerd. And it's like, dude, look at the state of you. You built like a Greek statue. Do you know what I mean? You've got cool tattoos everywhere. You've got a chiseled jawline. You're such a nerd, bro. You're such a nerd. Get a new gimmick, you fuck. All right? Good lord. But he is really good, though. I would say that. He's really dangerous. Magomedov is the cat that started off real kick heavy against Sean Strickland and then paid the price because he gassed out, and then Sean Strickland beat the ever-loving shit out of him, which I really enjoyed. But he has got very good kickboxing and he is really, really dangerous. He just needs to manage that gas tank. Now, Magomedov, I just think he might be a bit too big and physical for Baralho here. I think we'll see how his grappling is, because I think that Baralho will test the grappling, but if it stays standing for too long, I see Magomedov getting the KO in that one. Rodrigo Nascimento then takes on Don'Tale Mayes in the 265-pound heavyweight division. 6'2", plays 6'6" with a 1-inch reach for Mayes. Nascimento is pretty good on the ground. He's big, he's physical. He just skated past Latifi though, so he can't honestly be that good. He has got one advantage though, in that he's submitted Don'Tale Mayes before in 2020. Mayes is a good kick. He's got a good knockout over Arlovski. He's big, he's physical, he's 6'6". He's an absolute monster. He has lost to Nascimento before though. So Mayes, as I mentioned, lost to Nascimento last time by submission in round number 2. And we all know that, we know the rule, right? In a rematch, the younger fighter wins, except faster. Nascimento is a year younger, so he's going to win by submission round 1 for me, Clive. Then you've got Gabriel Bonfim taking on Nicholas Dalby, 170 pounds. You've got 6'1", playing 5'10", with a 2-inch reach for Dalby. Bonfim is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu savage out of Brazil, 15-0, undefeated, 15 wins, all finishes, 12 submissions, 3 knockouts. 3 first round submissions in a row. You got Munir Aziz in a guillotine, which is just savage because I actually quite like Munir Aziz. Nicholas Dalby is a strong Viking. He's good in the grappling. He's strong and he's got good cardio. He is 38 though. He's getting on in terms of fighters. Skill wise, Bonfim is probably better everywhere. He's younger too. That said, Dalby by knockout. Ridiculous pick. Don't go with that. He's going to be a huge underdog for good reason. Then you've got Jailton Almeida taking on Derek Lewis in the main event. This is a really fun fight, 265 pounds. So you've got 6'3" playing 6'3". Both of their reaches are identical at 79 inches. Now Almeida is a monster. He could fight at 205 pounds, but he chooses not to because he just wants the challenge, right? He walks around at about 230 pounds. So literally for heavyweight, he's just so much faster than the other guys. And he's got enough power to put you away, but he's just so quick. And his stand-up is technically very, very, very nice. Plus, he is elite on the ground, and I mean elite. He's got great takedowns, and once he's on the back, it's effectively over. Derek Lewis, we all know him. He's the knockout machine. He's so simple. He will stand and swing and try to win. That's what I like about Derek Lewis. He's a throwback fighter. He's a dinosaur. He would be fighting in bars if he wasn't fighting in the UFC, and that's what I like about him. He's a real hard man. He's really one of the last fighters of that kind of that ilk. He's cut from that cloth where he just wants to throw down, knock people out, and he happens to get paid money for it because he's bloody good at what he does. He's got the most knockouts in UFC history for a reason. The Black Beast, he's so goddamn good. And look, does he get taken down and controlled sometimes? Yes. Does he sometimes get overwhelmed by faster strikers? Yes. But does that make him any less fun to watch? No, absolutely not. Do you know what I mean? I don't even necessarily want to see Derek Lewis, like, you know, competing for titles. I just want to see him fighting in marquee fights where there's a chance that he's going to just knock his opponent into another dimension. So look, as we've said, also, I want to mention that that Derek Lewis has the best takedown defense or takedown counters in the world, in that he just stands up. People take him down, he just decides to stand. It's like, yeah, I'm going to get up now, and he just stands up. I think you'll be able to fight, if you just YouTube Derek Lewis stands up, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So Almeida, we've gone through this, right? Almeida is the far superior grappler. He's the faster, much more technical striker, right? He's got better cardio. That being said, Derek Lewis, knockout, round number 2. I still believe in the knockout king. I still believe in the Black Beast. And look, he's going to be much bigger. He's going to have much more power. And that counts for something. But, oh, this is a tough matchup. But, you know, I still have belief in... You can never count Derek Lewis out of a fight. And that's why this fight is interesting. It's why I'm excited for it. It's why I've overrun by 3 full minutes. But who cares? I'm going to be putting some bets down on Saturday, so I'll be doing an extra video, putting on some accumulators and stuff like that. Hit subscribe, all those good things. And until next time, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.